And Rachel MacNeill is a business owner of Islay Whisky Academy in Scotland, and she will tell us about sharing the spirit of Scotland. Please, Rachel, go ahead.
Smisha Rachel MacNeill, Islay Academy Ushkabeta Ila. So I'm Rachel MacNeill and welcome to the Islay Whisky Academy. I'm going to tell you a wee bit about how my, is it possible to make so that I can see myself, ladies? It's only small for me. You know the video for me, for the screen of me, are you able to make that bigger?
Can you change your view? So if you go into the top right, if you click on view.
Yeah, I'm on speaker, but it's not on me. It's on something else. No, it's not coming up for me.
You might be able to pin yourself in the participant list as well. So if you can find yourself in that, click on more, and then you can pin yourself. Not literally, thankfully.
Oh, right, okay, yeah. Yep, got it. Right, okay. Sorry about that. Now, I'm going to start with the wrong thing, but it's just because of Natasha's talk about her logo. Can you see my logo there? Now that is 3 witches in a boat, right? And the rudder is a sheaf of barley. So it's a sheaf of barley, and in the middle is the little coppet is the alembic, so that's the little still, and then you've got the witch at the top. She's got the telescope because she's steering by the stars, and these distilling started with women, and these women are bringing the alembic. We believe that the alembic, the stills came from like Persia and Egypt and these kind of places because they were used for perfume and obviously cooking and things like that, you know, a way back in the day. But from this image here come all our sciences. So you've got navigation, astronomy, agriculture, boat building, medicine. So from that wee logo, you know, of three witches, 3 wise women, come all the sciences that we use today, and it just that logo came to me in a dream. That came to me in a dream. I dreamt that logo, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I scribbled it down, and it's got such power and it resonates, and people remember it when they see it because of the outlines. And I just wanted to share that with you though, because of your logo, Natasha. I thought it was, it's the ethic of it has come from a similar place. Anyway, I'll go back now to tell you. So Islay Whisky Academy is a teaching school. It teaches people how to make whisky, how to drink and appreciate whisky. And how it started was a long time ago. My friend came over here on holiday, and we have a thing called the Whisky Festival in May. And Islay is on the west coast of Scotland. It's the most southern of the Western Isles. So we're only 22 nautical miles from Ireland, and we have a population of about 3,200. But for the Whisky Festival, it comes to about 10,000 people. So you can't get accommodation for love nor money. So my friend is the boss of the tourist board in Beaumont, and I went in to visit her one day, and she said, "Oh, Rachel, a man can stay in your house." I said, "What man?" And she goes, a man, a nice man." And I said, "Oh yes, all right." And she said, "Yes, sir, we do have accommodation." So this random man came to stay in my house for the Whisky Festival because there was no accommodation, and every night after he was at all the festival things, he'd bring back whiskey to share with me, and we would drink away together. And he said to me, it was from Germany, "Do all your friends drink as much whiskey as you?" And I said, "Don't be so cheeky." No, I didn't. I said, "I know what you mean. We need to get more women to drink whiskey, because way back in those days, it was seen more as a man's drink, not so much for women. So I said, yes, whiskey for girls. We need to make whiskey for girls. I said, I'm going to make a company that supports women in whiskey. And so the next day I woke up and I did. I made a company called Whiskey for Girls, and I made it an education platform, an online website, and it was, I mean, I've still got it, I still use it, but we used all the terminology of whiskey making, all the esoteric words, but I explained them, because the only reason that people thought that women didn't know about whiskey is because they didn't know the words. But a lot of people don't know the words. So Whiskey for Girls was like a kind of hobby I had. And then I went to Ladakh in North India. It's a semi-autonomous region up in the Himalayas and Tibet. And I met this guy, and he used to take people out and show them his home country, and all their stress would fall away because they were very stressed working in, you know, Delhi and places like that. So he would take them out in the Himalayas and walk them up hills and make picnics for them, and share the quietness of Ladakh with them. And I said, that's amazing. That's what I do when my friends come on holiday to Islay. I never thought of doing it to make money out of. I never thought it could be a business. And it just, something just changed in me. And I came home and I decided that I would change my business, because before that I was doing architecture. So I decided I would change my business, and I would do this, bring people and take them and show them all the beauty of Islay. So I did that. But obviously, because Islay is the whiskey island, and we have 9 distilleries in Islay, people come here for whiskey as well. So then I found that I love teaching and talking about the whiskey. So then it kind of like turned, it just kind of turned gradually into Islay Whisky Academy. And now we run diploma weeks where people come for 5 days and they stay in Islay, and we teach them through the production process. We bring in experts in the industry from all different areas. We shared, they go to the distilleries and they learn from the distilleries. But the most important thing that happened was, in lockdown, none of this could happen. Nobody could come. There was nobody to teach. It was just terrible. So I thought, oh my God, what'll I do? What'll I do? And then I thought, I know, I'll make an online course. And instead of bringing them here, I'll bring out, like send out this knowledge to people. So I created a course called Whisky Affinity. And I've written, so volume 1 came out, and to good critical acclaim, people love it. But it's not just about whiskey, it's about culture of Scotland. It's about how our whiskey is, it arises out of our music, our Pibroch music. It arises out of our cloth, the patterns repeating in our cloth, our poetry, our language, our Gaelic language. So the rhythms and patterns of speech follow the rhythms and patterns of whiskey, or whiskey follows it. So when I made this online course, when you buy that, or if people signed up for the diploma course, which is on Islay, they were automatically invited to join this kinship group that we made. So at the moment it's hosted on Facebook because it's the easiest medium. So they've given automatic entry to this group, and it's called the Islay Whisky Academy Kinship. And I host lectures online, like on a, you know, like this on Zoom, and they can book and pay for them. But the thing that is important about the Islay Whisky Academy is that it's not really about whisky, although it is. It's actually about the planet. And the whole point of all this is to teach people to love the planet through their love for whisky and their understanding for whisky. So for instance, we focus on barley, you know, and then from there you focus on the land, the soil, the environment, the weather. So we don't just talk about it in isolation, it's completely and utterly rooted in the landscape. So on Islay, there's about 21 farmers that grow barley for Bruichladdich distillery. So we teach them all about that. We take them to where the barley's stored. We'll take them to the field, because some people have never seen that. They just think that whisky is, you know, they just think it's like, you know how they say that children in the city think that milk comes from a carton. A lot of people just appreciate the whisky, but they don't actually think about where it comes from. So what my huge thing is to teach them all about the elements. So we teach them about water, because different kinds of water influence how you make your whisky. So we teach them, so they learn geology, and then also that makes you think about, you know, global warming, the distilleries having to close in the summer months because there's no water. So everything that we do at the Academy is rooted in the earth and the natural world, and people that sometimes wouldn't really pay that much respect or attention to the environment are taken to it through their love of whisky. So they don't even know that they're becoming like this. And another thing that I do a lot of social media, and if I'm writing something you know, quite technical, say for instance, right, so say for instance we're talking about casks, right, casks. This is these are staves, right, this is a stave from a barrel, right, and this is a piece of the tree that it came from. So I'll let people think about the tree, you know, and then the stave, because usually in the distillery they'll only talk about the stave, or people will only talk about the thing in production. So another thing that we'll do is we'll talk about copper. And so this is a still, and we need this to make whisky. But when we're doing the teaching, I'll teach them, you know, where copper's found, it's how it's badly mined, things like that, just to make them aware of the depths and how connected whisky is, you know, to the natural world. So it's a way of reconnecting people with nature that maybe wouldn't be that bothered about nature or that aware of nature. Going forward, like from now, we're hoping to have a new venue on Islay, and people are slowly starting to come back now, and we're hoping to do a lot more talks about you know, maybe like peat, for instance, because, you know, this is a big environmental issue at the moment. The industry don't know whether we should be using peat, or so it's so that we can have discussions around the table about things like that. So that's the kind of future that I've got planned for the Academy. So we're teaching online courses, diploma courses in Islay. We host people. We teach through social media posts, Instagram posts, but through teaching them about whisky and appreciation of whisky, we're really trying to root people in all the aspects of the land and think about like where it's come from, and what other things do I do now? Another thing that we think people think about is time, because of the cycles of the year. So time is very important in whisky making, because you have to, when you make whisky at first, it's clear like this, and then it has to be stored to make Scotch whisky. It has to be stored for 3 years in oak casks in the wade house. So that's time and how it matures in there. So we talk about time and the movement of the seasons of the year, and barrels come from Kentucky, like bourbon barrels, and American whiskey barrels come from the Kentucky areas. But then you've got sherry casks, they come from the south of Spain, Cadiz and all that. So we connect this small island and what happens on it with worldwide things. So in lockdown, I could do it online like that, and now that lockdown stopped, people are going to come back to Islay. But because it's the same as Natasha's lady's been able to sell to women in New York, I'm going to keep with the online, and it just makes a bigger community, and it's a wonderful way of connecting with people. Has anyone got any questions? Because I'm not sure how long the talk went on for.
Okay, thank you, Rachel. Are there any questions to Rachel or comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Yes, it's Ros Bryce here from the Centre for Mountain Studies. It was a fascinating presentation. Thanks very much. And I think it's such a nice example of a locally produced product and a local value chain with all the processes going on kind of on the island. Yeah, I was just wondering kind of what kind of reach you have had with the online courses, and, you know, have you reached kind of a big international audience kind of compared to the kind of visitors you had? Yeah.
Oh yes. No, the whole audience is international. It's worldwide. So even when the people came here, I mean, Scottish people don't want to know about whisky because they take it for granted. So they don't come. Do you know what I mean? It's like people in Islay. They don't really come, you know, because we just take it for granted. But I'm hoping when I get my new venue that we can slightly change that by bringing them in, maybe for different things. Like I want to have a small heritage centre and invite maybe men that used to work in the distillery that are retired to come in and have a cup of tea and a scone and a wee dram and talk to people, because you know, I think it would be nice for Scottish people to be more into their whisky, whereas it's an international audience that I've got. So on my diploma, when they come, I mean, I just did a diploma there 2 weeks ago, one in Islay, and it's the first one since lockdown, so I was so happy. But it was very small. There was only 8 people. I might put 16 people in a diploma, but we don't keep, we keep it small because I want them to be, they become friends. There's nothing corporate about this business. We're professional. They get a 5-star education, but it's not corporate, because corporate is faceless. And I feel that that's what has brought us to the state that we're in, that we need COP26, and also the state that we've got COVID, because of faceless business. So I try not to be faceless, and I hired self-catering houses and put my students in these houses so they mix and meld and they become friends independently of the academy. So I'm building a network of them out in the world. So I'm like the catalyst, I'm like the copper. Copper's a catalyst.
Thanks, that's really interesting. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Here's in the chat one comment from Becky. It sounds like a very diverse business. Very interesting. Thank you. A very interesting talk. Thank you. You mentioned you still keep the original website dedicated to women learning about whiskey in Scotland. Is this aspect still a big part of the company?
Yes, for sure. Look, wait, I'll show you. So this is Whisky for Girls, and I'll tell you a great story about it. So if you go onto my website, the Whisky for Girls section is there. You know, you can press the button and it takes you to that arm. I write opinion pieces and interviews and things on Whisky for Girls, but it started off just as Whisky for Girls. Where am I here? It's hard to do because it's by mirror or something. Right, so it started off just as Whisky for Girls, right? And this, the manager of the Gladych distillery at that time, Jim McEwen, a great mentor and friend of mine, and I said to him, can I come and learn in your distillery for a week? Years and years ago, and he was like that, delighted to encourage me in my endeavour. And then he said, Rachel, I feel excluded by the name of your company, so I changed it to say "and guys," because women were feeling excluded, so I didn't want to set up something that would make men feel excluded. So it's now called Whisky for Girls and Guys.
Thank you, Rachel. Any other questions? I have one small question. Do you send whiskey to these distant learners, or is it without drinking whiskey?
Well, it's very difficult now because of Brexit, but we can send it because I host online whisky tastings. So we send out, you know, different sets. So I'll speak to a person for a long time and we make a relationship and I know what they want, and then we can figure out what whisky they would like and we send it to them. But it's very difficult, but we're working on that to make it more accessible. So we will have people, say for instance in the States, that we'll send it to, and then they'll distribute out, even if we're just doing a tasting set. So a tasting set would be 6 small bottles, like, you know, it would be in a wee tube about that size, all nicely done and everything. And we would send it out, you know, if you had a birthday party and you wanted 12 people, and then I would stand here with the drams and go through it with them. But I also make them like a booklet. So I'll deconstruct the dram at home, and I'll write all about it, the taste of it, the structure of it, where it's came from, a wee bit about it, and then I'll do like a pairing menu, what food they could put with it. But I'll ask, you know, I'll find out what kind of food is in their supermarkets, or what's their local food, because there's no point in me saying something Scottish that's not accessible over there. So I translate it into their terms and then match it with the whisky. So yes, that short answer is yes, we do.
Okay, thank you. And here's Jocelyn has written, terrific job, Rachel and Natasha, very inspiring. Thank you. Thank you very much, Rachel. Now we will have a very short couple of minutes break, just to let our thoughts